Hey guys, welcome back to Life with Steph. I am Steph. So today we are going to be doing another murder case. We're actually going to be talking about Laci Peterson. So Laci Peterson was an American woman. She was actually reported missing by her husband on December 24th, 2002. Now, Laci Peterson was also 8 months pregnant with her first child. Can you imagine? So Laci was actually born Laci Rocha, and she was born May 4th, 1975. At a young age, she actually worked on her family's farm, and she also helped her mother with gardening. So she did have an appreciation for gardening, for plants, for growing things. So when she was born, her parents owned a dairy farm, and then as she when she was still a little kid, her parents actually got divorced, so her family ended up moving to Modesto, but Laci would still get to go to the farm on the weekends. Come junior high and high school, Laci was actually a cheerleader. And then she ended up attending California Polytechnic State University. Now, about 1994, she ended up meeting one of her friends' co-workers. So her friend worked at a diner where Laci would go visit her friend, and so there she met Scott Peterson. So Laci actually made the first move. She gave Scott her phone number, and she instantly, felt something for this guy, even to the point of telling her mother that this was the guy she was going to end up marrying. So they did start dating. Scott ended up pursuing more of a business path. He actually had wanted to be a professional golfer, but he put that aside, went down more the business path, and then they continued dating, and then eventually they did move in together. Now, it is also mentioned that Scott had two affairs around the time when he was in his senior year, and at this point Laci was actually working, and he was going to school and then also having his affairs on the side. But they still got married on August 7th, 1997. And so Scott actually ended up graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree. And then once they got married, they actually opened up their own business. They opened up a sports bar called The Shack. And so they kept that business until 2002, which then they sold the business, and they actually ended up moving back to Modesto because they were going to start a family. And so they ended up purchasing their home. It was in a pretty upscale neighborhood near La Loma Park. Scott got a job with Trade Corp USA, and Laci was just working part-time as a substitute teacher. Laci pretty much wanted to be the perfect housewife. She liked cooking, keeping the home, entertaining. And then in 2002, she shared with her family that she was pregnant, and everyone was really excited for them. They were super happy. Now, in 2002, November 2002, Scott met a massage therapist named Amber Frey. Amber claimed after the fact that Scott had actually told her that he was single, and the two did begin a romantic relationship. Now, Scott's parents, the last time that they saw Laci was on Christmas 2002, actually a week before Christmas in 2002. They had like a little weekend getaway, and that was the last time that they saw her. So aside from Scott, the only last people that they could think of that would have spoken to her would have been Laci's mother and Laci's stepsister, and her stepsister's name is Amy. So on December 23rd, 2002, Laci and Scott both went to Amy's salon, where she actually cut Scott's hair, but I guess it was a monthly thing. He would always go in once a month and Amy would cut his hair. Now, as they were talking, she's cutting his hair. Scott actually ended up offering to go pick something up for Amy that they were going to get for her grandfather. It was like a fruit basket. So he was going to be in the area because he was going to be golfing that day. So Christmas Eve, he told Amy that he was going to be golfing, and other people also did mention that Scott had previously told him that he was going to be golfing on Christmas Eve. So around 8:30 that evening, Lacey did speak to her mom on the phone. Now, Scott told the police that on December 24th, he last saw his wife around 9:30 in the morning when he left to go fishing. So supposedly when Scott left, Lacey was at home. She was just kind of taking care of things around the house. She was going to make cookies. She was going to mop. She was going to go walk the dog. So Lacey was just, being all a homie and taking care of the home, and he was going to go fishing. A neighbor of the Petersons said that she found their dog. They had a golden retriever. They found him, and so she ended up returning him to the Petersons. So when the dog was returned, the neighbor said that nothing really seemed out of place. I guess she just kind of took him to the backyard and left the dog there, but everything seemed pretty normal. There wasn't anything that seemed like too suspicious to her. Scott said that on the afternoon of December 24th, he returned home and it was empty. Lacey's car was still in the driveway, and Scott said that upon getting home and finding that the home was empty and her car was in the driveway, he still went to take a shower and change clothes because he had gotten wet from fishing. Around 5:15, Scott called Lacey's mom, and then about half an hour after that, Lacey's grandfather called the cops. The cops get to their house, and along with her car still being there, her purse is there, her keys are there, her sunglasses are there. They found the dining room table like all nicely set up. It had been like fully prepared for Christmas dinner the next night. And one detective did claim that on a counter there was a phone book open actually, and it was to a defense lawyer. But at this point, Scott looked completely calm. So initially, Scott did tell the police that he had gone golfing, which, if we remember, he had also told Lacey's stepsister and other people that he was going to go golfing. And then he later changed it to that he had gone fishing. They did find a message from Scott to Lacey around 2:15 that afternoon. And it said, "Hey, beautiful, it's 2:15. I'm leaving Berkeley," which is where he had gone fishing. So that was about 90 miles from their home. And police officers did immediately launch a search. But the police officers or the detectives did claim that they were a little surprised by Scott's behavior right off the bat. One of the detectives said, "I suspected Scott when I first met him. Didn't mean he did it, but it was a little bit thrown off by his calm, cool demeanor and his lack of questioning. He wasn't, 'Will you call me back? Can I have one of your cards? What are you guys doing now?' So obviously he was giving us very chill persona, which we also have to keep in mind that a lot of people respond differently to stressful situations. The day after the disappearance, there is this big search, and it includes dogs, helicopters, searchlights, police officers on horseback, bicycle units, pretty much the whole 9 yards, water rescue. They were all searching for Lacey. In the first 2 days, there were up to 900 people involved looking for Lacey. So not only was it, our police officers, our response or search teams, there were also volunteers, family members, friends, loved ones. Pretty much up to 900 people were searching for Lacey. And pretty soon it did attract nationwide media coverage. Then there was a reward offer, $25,000, and then that was increased to $250,000. And finally, it was increased to $500,000. Posters, blue and yellow ribbons, flyers, they were being circulated and plastered everywhere. And there was even a website that was launched to help this search, which was LaciPeterson.com. So then there was a command center that was set up at a nearby hotel. And at this point, they were up to 1,500 volunteers helping search. Now, fast forward to April 13th, 2003. We have a couple that's walking their dog, and they find the decomposing body of a late-term male fetus. This was found around San Francisco's Bay Shore, which was just north of Berkeley. The umbilical cord was still attached. It appeared that it had been torn, not cut or clamped like how it would be in a normal procedure. It had been torn. So they did seal the records, but there was an anonymous source that claims that there was things had been done to the baby's body. And I don't feel comfortable going into the details. A day later, a passerby found a body, and this was a body of a recently pregnant woman. She was wearing beige pants, had a maternity bra on, and she was found a mile away from where the baby's body was found. At this point, the woman's body was decomposed almost past the point of recognition. It didn't really appear as a human body. The body had been decapitated and her limbs were missing. On April 18th, DNA did confirm that the bodies found were of Lacey and her unborn child. According to the autopsy that was conducted, the baby's body wasn't decomposed at all. There was mutilation to the right side of his body, and Lacey's cervix was also intact. The exact date and cause of death for Lacey were never really determined. She did have 2 cracked ribs, but it couldn't be determined if this was before or after she died. Her upper torso had been emptied of her organ. So it was determined that the fetus had been removed from Lacey's decaying body, but it couldn't be determined if when he was removed, if he was alive or dead. As we previously mentioned, it was known that Scott had affairs. One of them even Lacey did actually know about. A woman that he was involved with, she actually came forward, met with the police, talked to them, and she claimed that Scott had claimed that he was a widower and that this was going to be his first Christmas without his wife. Even, I guess, like friends of his or whatever claimed that Scott was claiming to be single and looking. So it just all seemed really fishy. This was all before Lacey went missing. So on April 18th, Scott was arrested. He claimed that he was meeting his father and brother at the golf course and they were going to go golfing. But when they arrested him, he had changed his hair. His hair was blonde. He normally had dark brown hair. He was trying to change his appearance, and then in his car they found nearly $15,000 in cash, 12 Viagra tablets, survival gear, camping equipment, several changes of clothes, 4 different cell phones, and 2 driver's licenses. He had one which belonged to him and one that belonged to his brother. Now, Scott's father claimed that he had used his brother's license the day before to get into a golf course in San Diego, and that Scott supposedly had been living out of his car because of all the media coverage. He had decided to live in his car. But police didn't really believe that, and they thought he was preparing to, make a run for the border. April 21st, he was charged with 2 felony counts of murder with premeditation and special circumstances. And of course, he pled not guilty. A year later, on June 1st, 2004 is when his trial began. Then on November 12th, 2004, he was convicted of first-degree murder for his wife's death and second-degree murder for his baby's death. The judge did sentence him to death, calling the murder of Laci cruel, uncaring, heartless, and callous. In 2019, the governor of California did issue a moratorium for all of the death row prisoners, which included Scott Peterson. This pretty much postponed all executions during the duration of him as governor. At the moment, looks like if he's reelected in 2022, then he'll be in office again until 2027, and then at that point it's kind of up in the air as to what's going to happen. But the death of Laci and Connor Peterson did lead the way to the Unborn Victims of Violence Act, or also known as Laci and Connor's Law. And it was, I guess, nice. So it came into effect on April 1st, 2004, and her mother and stepfather were present when it was signed by President George W. Bush. So that is what I have on Lacey Peterson. I guess we'll have to wait until 2027 to see if this dirtbag gets executed or not. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys remember seeing this being covered in like the media? Do you remember anything about it? Do you have any suggestions for other cases? Leave it in the comments below. Be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow my social media. It'll be linked down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.